Hey guys, it's Shannon from iHeart Radio Canada, here with Jay, talking about the end of the world.
Yep.
I have so many questions about
Please.
this. First of all, I want to start at the beginning. Where did the idea come from? How did you get inspired to make a show that's talking about how we're all going to die?
Yeah, I was very lucky that our producer, Stuart Henderson, had this idea of finding an accessible way to unpack the anxieties and fears surrounding existential risks. And I think he said, it would be good if the face of this was someone like a Jay Baruchel type, whatever that is, pale and anxious and uncomfortable and at odds with polite society. And I met with him and talked about it, and I was like, yeah, that's gonna blow your mind. I've been super anxious about a lot of big dark stuff too, and yeah, so it kind of was like it dovetailed perfectly with everything I was worried about and concerned about and thinking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was your thoughts around all of that then going into it? How did you feel? Just anxious?
Yeah, I mean, some of it I was like, I'm not worried about volcanoes. I live in Toronto. But that's a stupid thing because they could if a big enough volcano erupts, it could kill photosynthesis across the entire planet, or at least a huge significant part of it. But yeah, I wasn't scared about some stuff, and admittedly a bit cavalier about some stuff, and then I was like, oh yeah, no, that's an asteroid could fucking kill us. But the biggest kind of weird sort of zoom out takeaway from all of it was that it's had the cumulative effect of it for me is that it's made me, God help me, it's made me more optimistic.
What do you mean by that?
That's stupid.
Because I watch it and I'm like, oh no, this is it. We're all going down.
Yes.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, no, because optimism is embarrassing. I'm a 90s kid. It's the goofiest thing in the world to be hopeful and hokey about something. But yeah, no, here's the thing is that there were way more of these threats back in the day, I would argue. And the stats, as contradictory as this is to anecdotal experience and how hard it is out there for everybody, this is the best it's ever been in the story of human history. We are more literate, live longer, healthier, we kill each other less than ever before. And that's considering how violent and riddled with disease we are. And this is the best we've ever been. So if so that tells me, though, that we're getting some stuff right, and that, and also that we have this ability to be kind of adaptable and resilient, and that humans can kind of get behind anything, to quote Gord Downey.
Yeah, well, that does add some optimism.
All right, good.
Out of the things, though, that you learned, what keeps you up at night the most, of the scariness of it? Yeah.
The simulation theory stuff is a brain bug that I can't get out of my head. Because it's really simple that one of three things can happen. You either believe that we will not be around long enough to get technologically advanced to create a simulation, that we'll destroy ourselves and nuke ourselves before we be able to figure out how, that we would get advanced enough to do it but not be interested in doing that, or we're all in one now.
Right.
It's literally with those three things. And that's that's a hard thing to get past.
What do you think that it is?
Everybody, all the smart people I talk to about this, the guy who's one of the world's eminent experts in this theory.
Yeah, thinks that we are in one, right?
Over 50%, he says, is likely. Yeah, and it's and it's a kind of a dream within a dream effect, because it's sort of I don't know. How do we know that, you interviewed me on a red carpet last night, right? Well, how do you know you actually did, and that wasn't just programmed into our backstory, and this is the first time we're meeting, right?
I hate that.
I know. It's a hard thing to get past. There's no way to prove it or disprove it.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it. We can just end this, though. This isn't even, maybe it's not even happening. That's
correct.
That's crazy. How do you go about handling such difficult topics that you're talking to these experts about, but you still have, the show still has this lightness to it and the comedic aspect?
Yeah, well, I think it's just I can't help but, I think I just talk the way that I talk, and I didn't go to university, so I like carry myself and speak in a certain manner, and I think that kind of takes the edge off of some of the stuff. Number one. Number two, I think that a spoonful of sugar helps medicine go down, and also on like I'll say it, like on my mom's family we're mostly Irish, on my dad's family mostly Jewish, and the thing that those both cultures have in common is a great tradition of gallows humor, and if you can kind of make fun of or just take the piss out of something, it's a bit more palatable.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you personally think that you'll do in an apocalyptic situation?
Me?
Yeah.
God help me. I'll thrive.
You think?
Yeah. I'll be very good. Yeah. I won't have to answer emails, and I won't worry about if somebody read my script or any of that. Like, yeah, man. I feel like it would kind of just be like what it's like when I go to the cottage alone. That's crazy. It's an insane thing because, there's probably a bit more to it than that.
But there's that optimism. I like it.
It's more, it's arrogance more than anything. But yeah, I think I would do super good when society collapses.
Yeah. That's good. I think the opposite. So
maybe I need of you?
No, of me. Yeah. I'm like, no, of you. I think you're actually going to do terrible. Now that we've known each other for 2 days.
Yeah, you think I did terrible.
Knowing what I know about you.
Yeah.
What do you just hope that people take away from the show?
I hope that, I just hope they learn some stuff they didn't before. And I hope maybe they also, I don't want to get so prescriptive and as to be like, well, I hope they just do their part, But what I'll say is that, it's not necessarily as simple as we're all in this together or there's nothing you can do. Mm-hmm. There's steps in between those things, and there is a piece for each of us to carry. And I think that, the more info you have, the better equipped you are for whatever is coming. So hopefully, but also, if people just found it entertaining, I would be super psyched.
Yeah, and it is very entertaining.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I was so glad to see that there was a season 2 that was coming out. Was there anything after you finished season 1 that you were like, that you didn't get to in season 1 that you wanted to make sure was covered in season 2?
Yeah, and it's not. There won't be a 3 because what qualifies as a sincerely existential threat, something that could destroy the planet or civilization or our species. There's not a ton. And a lot of other threats to us could fall under blankets of stuff we've already done. So but there were some still that we hadn't done and wanted to continue the conversation. Simulation being one of them, artificial intelligence being one of them, in the insect apocalypse. Yeah, that one's a biggie. That one's one that everybody should see tomorrow because that's something that everybody can help.
Yeah, that's the one that stuck with me the most.
Yeah.
That's the one that keeps me up at night. I think the learning about that one gave me the same dread that I felt when I learned about the doomsday clock.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, there's a way they describe the insects in the episode where somebody says you've got to think about the insects as the glue keeping the wing on the airplane. It's Jesus, Murphy. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's so wild. With you, we talked yesterday for the movie Humane that you're in,
yep.
which kind of has to do with end of time.
Yes.
Why do you think that there is such a interest in it? Do you think just because it's such a topic of conversation right now?
I think that well, first off, I think it's something that we have always been interested in. I think that there's never been a time in history where humans weren't convinced the world was going to end next week. That's and I think that's probably just part and parcel with knowing that we're all going to die.
Right.
And so then the next follow-up is we are all going to die, and it's probably happening soon, right? And that being said, there are eras where that are closer to the bone than others. There's this has been, to say the least, a pretty action-packed last century so far. And so I think that when shit gets dire and expensive and people are hurting, it is, and every time you turn on the TV, there's a lot of bad stuff happening. I think it's a pretty reasonable thing that the expectation that the art will reflect everybody's anxieties. I think it's also we had a dry run for 2.5 years of what the world ending would look like with COVID, you know. And I think it like, and then we all just stopped talking about it. We've all just pretended it didn't happen. Yeah, we're it's over, right? It didn't do anything to us. It hasn't irrevocably damaged all of us, you know. And so yeah, I think it's like maybe 10 years from now, it won't be as close to the bone, or maybe it'll be worse. It'll be a big fucking garbage fire. But I think that like the art typically seems to reflect the kind of POVs and concerns of the people that make it. You know?
Yeah, totally. Good point to end on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the show. And I do feel more optimistic after this conversation.
Oh, good.
That's good.
Thank you.
Love that. Perfect. We're done.
iHeart Optimism.